The fall finale of Citadel Gray Line is on the air. Hello, welcome to this show where we talk all things Bulldogs, and that would be the Bulldogs of the Military College of South Carolina. John Rawl is my name. I'm joined by Jeff Hartzell of the Charleston Post and Courier on, yes, the final show of this fall 2021 edition of the Citadel Gray Line. Thank y'all for being on with us throughout the last couple of months. We've had a great time covering all things Citadel. We've had some great guests, and we'll kind of walk through a few of the fun guests that we've had as we wrap up things, talking all kinds of things. And Jeff Hartzell, Charleston Post and Courier, we've been doing this a long time, and I always thought that football was what the Citadel kind of its premier sport. Boy, I was wrong. The Citadel, Jeff Hartzell, I think it's more of what we call in the sports world a volleyball school. Welcome in.
The Citadel is a volleyball school now, for sure. What a story for the Bulldogs women's volleyball team. You know, they started in 1998, and traditionally, as even their coach said, they've been a team that other schools scheduled to get a win. But now they are the SoCon champions and the first Citadel team to win a women's sports championship in the SoCon. I think I said that right.
I think you said that right.
Congratulations to the history-making Bulldogs, their coach Dave Zelnock, and their star player Charliza De Jesus, who is from Puerto Rico and has really set the tone for Citadel volleyball over the last few years.
We will share that special moment where they won the Southern Conference. We've got the last play there in the third set of when they captured that. We'll play that for you in just a second. We also have an update on Citadel Basketball. And, Jeff, a scary scene from Cameron Indoor Monday when Duggar Baucom collapsed right there with about a minute into the game.
Wow, it was a scary scene, and our best wishes go out to Duggar and his family as he recovers from this health scare. We're not quite sure what the nature of it was yet, but he is due to return home with the team the day after the game, and I'm sure he'll be undergoing further evaluation. Of course, Duggar has a history of heart problems throughout his life. That's the reason he became a coach.
Yeah.
In the first place, back in the day, he was a state trooper in North Carolina and suffered a heart attack. And he likes to say that the doctor told him to find a less stressful line of work, so he went into coaching. So Duggar is a great guy, and I'm sure there's many people across college basketball rooting for him right now.
We're rooting for him. Duggar, get out of there, get back to Charleston, and get this hot Bulldog basketball team going. What an exciting team so far, and in the new season we'll talk more about basketball, and Jeff will also talk Citadel football as they wrap their season up in Chattanooga this past weekend. We are presented in part here on Citadel Gray Line by two great partners, and that would be IPS Packaging and Automation. I'll tell you about them in a second, but also BigRedPalmetto.store, and kind of hard to see. Let me try to get this over where there's a little bit more light. I just got this sent to me in the mail from BigRedPalmetto.store. I'm sorry, I'm not a very good Vanna White. But this is a great little piece of art that you can put on your door or in your office, hanging up on a wall perhaps. Maybe I should put it back here. And just a really cool thing that you can get at BigRedPalmetto.store, one of the new items that Richard Blanton's got posted there. And you can go to that website and learn so much more about the hundreds of items that have the Spike logo and the other logos, including some of the new logos available at BigRedPalmetto.store. So thank you, BigRedPalmetto.store, for sending us a prop here, and we'll give you a chance to win a $25 gift certificate here later in the show when we ask our Knob Knowledge question. In fact, that's coming up real soon because we are going to kind of get through this show quickly today. It's our final show, as mentioned, of the 2021 season. Let me tell you about IPS Packaging and Automation. They have been a great partner of the show for many years now, and they are a name that you can trust. Since 1976, IPS has been providing manufacturers and e-commerce companies with the very best packaging products and automation in the entire industry. They offer a complete line of packaging products like stretch films and 3M tapes, corrugated boxes, strapping, and equipment automation. IPS Packaging and Automation will analyze and streamline your current methods to improve your packaging process. Give them a call at 800-277-7007 to learn more, or visit them at ipackipac.com. This upstate South Carolina-based company, IPS Packaging and Automation, is a proud supporter of Citadel Athletics. And again, thank you, IPS, for your many years of sponsorship here on the Citadel Gray Line, and hope to get you back here in 2022. In fact, we encourage any of you out there who own a business to reach out to me here during the off season, and we'll set you up as a potential sponsor here. Very affordable and a great way to market your business to other Citadel alumni. 843-779-8496 is how you can get in touch with me. I'll put that up here on the screen just so you can see it out there. Write it down, and call me in the new year if you'd like, and we'll set up something before we get going with, I think it's going to be year number 15 of Citadel Gray Line. 843, right there on the screen, 843-779-8496. All right, Jeff, we don't get to talk about championships all that often here on this show. I wish it was something we could talk about a lot more often, but that Citadel volleyball team went to the Southern Conference tournament, and that was held on the Sanford campus this past weekend. They went in there as the number 7 seed. They walk out SoCon champions.
That's right. They beat the number 2, 3, and 4 seeds on the way to the title, including the 3-time defending champion and homestanding Sanford Bulldogs. And they are going dancing. How about that? They will earn a berth in the NCAA tournament, which starts in December. They will learn their fate. I think this coming weekend they have a selection show just like they do in basketball. So they'll learn their NCAA fate this coming weekend. I think play starts on December 2nd. So a lot to look forward to still for this remarkable Citadel volleyball team. They were the number 7 seed. That's a little deceiving. They tied for 5th, I think, in the SoCon standings. So they were competitive all season long, but there's no doubt they played their best volleyball right here at the end of the season in the tournament. And I can't say enough about Charliza De Jesus, who you might remember. We did a story on her over the summer. She worked out with the Citadel football team over the summer, went through the same workouts that the football players did over the summer, and she's been the guiding light of Citadel volleyball in recent years. Allie Ruffin was the SoCon Freshman of the Year, and then Bella Hogan made the all-freshman team. So Coach Zelnock has done a great job in recruiting, and it's funny, I haven't written about this yet, but in our post-match interview, I asked him what was the difference for Citadel volleyball in recent years, and he mentioned the haircut rule at the Citadel was relaxed a couple years ago. You might remember that, John. And that
I don't.
The haircut rules were relaxed a couple of years ago. Male cadets, as you know, they used to have to keep their heads shaven throughout their knob year. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now they only have to get it shaved once, and then they can let it grow out to, military haircut. And the same sort of thing went for the women. They used to have to get it cut real short and keep it that way throughout their knob year. Now those rules are relaxed, and I'm not quite sure what they are for the women, but Coach Zelnock said that has enhanced recruiting. It's easier to get women to agree to come to the Citadel with these relaxed haircut rules, that they don't have to get their hair chopped off when they arrive on campus. So believe it or not, that haircut rule has helped women's athletics at the Citadel.
I don't know what it is for the women, but the guys, there's some athletes that I've seen in various sports that I have to question whether they've had a haircut recently at all, because it's pretty long, and some of them you can tell it looked like they kind of had one of those famous barracks cuts, and it didn't go so well. That's my opinion, but for the women, they long hair or short hair, they're the champions and that is a very, very good thing. Jeff's got a hat on. Hats off to the SoCon champion volleyball team. Hey, speaking of that, if you haven't had a chance to see that special moment when they captured glory in Birmingham at this past weekend's tournament, we're going to go back to that last point they got in the third set and pay close attention. Jeff talked about the coach and the job that he did. Jeff, I've never seen a coach who's just won a conference championship be so not so excited, I guess. I mean, I know he was excited, but he wasn't overly caught up in the moment, if you will. At least that's how I took it. Y'all can make up your mind. But, hey, it doesn't matter. They're winners. And you'll see the aforementioned Puerto Rico native celebrating big time there after the victory over Wofford in the SoCon Volleyball Championship. Here is that Citadel volleyball team salute.
Wow. The Bulldogs can take it right here. Trying to take it in straight sets from the Terriers. Kinsey Kellerman serving for the Citadel. And that's it. The Bulldogs have made history. Dave Zelnock has done it. His team, as the 7 seed, has come to Birmingham, and they will go dancing. The emotions, the passion, that is what it is all about as the group from Charleston, Page, comes into Birmingham and has made history here this weekend.
There's no one more deserving. I mean, you just saw them adjust, play simple, play their game. I mean, just true to their identity, and they did a great job all tournament long. They should be very proud of themselves. From beginning to end, they played the best that they could.
Lindsay is going to try to get Dave Zelnock as he just drinking it all in. His team. Wow. And let's go to Lindsay with the victorious head coach of the Bulldogs, Dave Zelnock.
Coach, not only did you just win the championship game, but you made history for your school.
Yeah.
Besides the win, what are you the most proud of about your team?
The progress throughout the year. You know, this is why we coach, is to get better throughout the year. So I'm really happy for them. All the stuff that they go through, obviously the school, and just the growth throughout the year.
How do you celebrate?
I'm going to try and dodge the Gatorade in the locker room, and hopefully they don't tackle me. You know, that would be great.
All right, I'll let you go be with your team. Congrats, Coach. Thank you.
Always got to look out from behind. They'll sneak up from me from behind, and that's where you got to watch it. What a great scene. It's that unbridled joy. I mean, you put in the work all year, Paige, and still more to do. You got the NCAA tournament, but you just drink all this in right now if you're the Citadel.
Absolutely. And to come on to a holiday week and just spend it with your team that is your family and know you have more season to play, I mean, there's just no better feeling.
Wow. What a scene here in Birmingham. De Jesus, see Faith Justice there, among others, celebrating. Colossal for the Bulldogs. What a scene here in Birmingham. The Citadel.
How about that, everybody? And look at there. Number 11. I don't think that's a horns up. She's celebrating the Citadel's first Southern Conference championship in volleyball, the first championship for any of the women's programs at the Citadel. And, Jeff, I think I'm a little bit of an amateur historian on Citadel athletics. I think that's the first SoCon championship the school has brought in since the 2016 football season.
I think that's correct. And that was number 11, Charliza De Jesus, right there at the end. And you mentioned Coach Zelnock and how chill and calm he is. Really amazing. And I think that's a big part of the Citadel's growth in volleyball. No moment was too big for those players. I think in part due to the calm exhibited by their coach over the course of the tournament. And I don't pretend to be a volleyball expert, but from what I gather, Coach Zelnock is a very good strategist as well. The announcers mentioned during the tournament various bits of strategy that he was employing to get the best out of his team. So really a great job by Dave Zelnock in building up a program that started in 1998. They were 0-24 in their first season, 1-59, I think, 1-54, I think, in their first two seasons. They never had a winning record until this year. They'd only won 2 matches in the SoCon tournament over those 22 years. So a lot of blood, sweat, and tears over the years in the Citadel volleyball program to get to where they are today. We should mention that Citadel Soccer also had a high water mark season this year. They won 10 matches. I think they were 10-7-2 overall. Didn't get quite as far in their tournament as the volleyball team did, but a good year for women's sports at the Citadel.
Very good indeed by the coach and the players. Citadel volleyball, Citadel soccer on the rise, as you mentioned there. And I guess, Jeff, I was looking for the tears from Coach Zelnock after that victory in the SoCon tournament, but he was cool, calm, and collected. And if that's what it takes for the Bulldogs to win championships, then keep it cool, calm, and collective. Speaking of the coach, he is the subject of our Knob Knowledge question here for this week. Our first Knob Knowledge brought to you by BigRedPalmetto.store that has to do Knob Knowledge with volleyball at the Citadel. And our Knob Knowledge question is about Coach Zelnock. I want to know, this coach who's done a great job here this year leading the Citadel to the NCAA tournament and SoCon champions. Prior to coming to the Citadel, he coached at another FCS level football school. And I want to know, he was the head coach of that program, what that school is, and a hint, that school has something to do with the Citadel football's only bowl game. This is a pretty easy one if you know Citadel history. It's a pretty easy one if you know anything about Coach Dave Zelnock. So tell me what school he coached at prior to coming to coach the Citadel. And the hint here is that this school has a connection to Citadel football and its lone bowl game going way, way back. We've got an answer to our trivia question that was asked the other day. We did not get a trivia question answered while we were doing the show, so hate that happened. So appreciate the winner will get the correct gift out there in the mail. But yes, our Knob Knowledge today, volleyball related. If you know the answer, just text that answer to 843-779-8496, and we will hook you up. All right, let's go now, Jeff, and let's talk a little bit more about that basketball team before we close up talking football on our Citadel Gray Line fall finale. The Citadel goes into Cameron Indoor Stadium. Coach Baucom collapses about a minute into it. We've covered that already. We wish him the best. But, Jeff, the Citadel basketball team hung in there with the number 5 program most of the night, and they end up leaving Cameron Indoor with history being made.
That is correct. 18 three-pointers made by the Bulldogs at Cameron Indoor Stadium. That's the most ever by an opponent at that storied venue. So quite an accomplishment for the Bulldogs. They scored the most points that Duke has given up so far this season. Coach K was impressed with what he saw from the Citadel, especially after their coach had to leave the sideline so early in the game. Associate head coach Jack Castleberry did a really good job in guiding the Bulldogs through the remainder of that game. Hayden Brown does what Hayden Brown does, played really well against a monstrous front line that Duke rolls out there. Brent Davis had a really good game, and I think that bodes well for the rest of the season if they can get Brent going. Tyler Moff, he's a tough kid at point guard. Duggar Baucom told me he doesn't back down from anyone, and he played very well as well. And Rudy Fitzgibbons hit 3 3-pointers in the game. So I think the Citadel showed well on in a TV game, 9 o'clock TV game in front of a sellout crowd at Cameron Indoor Stadium. And if they can play in the SoCon the way they played against Pitt and Duke, I think they can have a good year. If they play the way they did at PC the other night, it might be a longer year. So they need to pretend they're playing an ACC foe each night in the SoCon.
A big, big evening again with some of those sharpshooters with 18 made. Jeff, I know they broke the record at 17. I was excited. I hope they can get 18 before this thing's over with. And lo and behold, with about a minute left, they knocked that three down.
That is correct. And they didn't even have a big night from the player I think is their best three-point shooter is the freshman Jason Roach. He he is now on the other team's scouting report. I think it's safe to say after his big game in the opener against Pitt when he scored 27 points, he will now be featured at the top of opponent scouting reports. So it's going to be tougher for him from now on this season than it was in that opening game at Pitt. But that's what the sport's all about, right? He'll have to adjust. The Citadel will have to adjust to find ways to get Jason open or his touches. But in the meantime, as I said, I think it was great to see Brent Davis have sort of a breakout game in an atmosphere like that. And I think that can bode well for the Citadel in the SoCon season.
And Davis, a sophomore from Miramar, Florida, I don't remember seeing him in these first couple of games be a big offensive powerhouse for the team. Did I miss something, or was this his coming out party at Cameron?
Well, he played very well as a freshman last year, no question about it. He's dealt with a couple of injury bugs so far this season. I think he missed one game. Can't remember which one it was. But yeah, definitely a breakout game, and he's capable of that. And the Citadel needs obviously, many scoring threats as they can put on the floor. They can't just depend on Hayden Brown and Jason Roach to carry the load. We should mention Stephen Clark as well, played very well, 16 points against, again, that big front line of Duke. Did not back down at all. In fact, he had a flagrant foul late in the game that was probably a questionable call. I don't think it was a flagrant foul.
No, and about that, Jeff, did you like the way Coach K basically forced that foul to be called?
Well, that's what Coach K does. Obviously, he's made a career out of working the refs. And, yeah, I did not think that was a good call. Stephen was going for the block, and the Duke player went down hard, no question about it, but it was not a flagrant foul in my opinion. But that's the way it goes at Duke. I think Duke shot 29 free throws, and how many did the Citadel shoot? 5 maybe, I think. So that's to be expected, though, because Duke is going to the rim and the Citadel's shooting 3-pointers. Mm-hmm. So that's going to happen in a game like that.
I mean, I know the guy's got the court named after him there. I mean, come on. I guess he thinks he owns the place, but that was a bad call. To Coach K's credit, in the ACC Network postgame interview, I like how he remembered Brent Davis's name. He mentioned him by name and all the 3 points that he was draining there. He's probably sitting back there thinking, did we recruit this kid?
Maybe. And he talked a little bit about Duggar Baucom as well. He remembered Duggar's days at VMI when his teams led the nation in scoring, and sent out his best wishes to Duggar Baucom as well. It's really sad because, when Coach K was winning his first national title at Duke in the early 90s, Duggar Baucom was a state trooper in North Carolina. So for Duggar's career to wind up with him coaching at Cameron Indoor Stadium against a legend like Coach K in Coach K's farewell tour this season was really a dream come true for Duggar Baucom, who, is from North Carolina and grew up watching Duke and the Tar Heels and that kind of thing. So for him to have to bow out just a minute into the game, really sad. But the main thing is his health. And that's what we're worried about now. And all early reports are positive. The Citadel said he was going to be able to travel back with the team and not have to stay at Duke University Hospital for an extended period of time. But as I said, I'm sure he'll undergo further tests with his doctors down here in Charleston. And it remains to be seen if he will miss any more games as head coach. But Jack Castleberry is a longtime right-hand man to Duggar Baucom, and he's in great position to act as head coach if he needs to for any extended period of time.
We wish him the best. And I've got the solution, Coach Baucom. It was a bad deal only being at Cameron 1 minute to face off against Duke. You know what? That's not fair. And Coach K's retiring. So, Coach Baucom and the Bulldogs, you have the solution in front of you. If you want to play Coach K again, you can. You can play them again. All you got to do is make it to the NCAA tournament, and I bet you they'll make it, and perhaps your paths will cross again.
That is correct. Maybe in the Final Four.
Maybe so. I'm looking forward to it. But this so far is a pretty exciting Bulldog basketball team. They're on the road again. Jeff, they're going to be in Orangeburg taking on SC State this weekend.
That's right. They're at SC State this weekend, and then they have a trip to UNC Asheville before they come back home against North Carolina Central. These games will be important for the Bulldogs. They can't, in my opinion, have another letdown like they did at PC. These games won't be easy. Obviously, all these teams are on the same level as the Citadel. But if they're going to compete in the SoCon, these are the kind of games and environments they need to be successful at, in my opinion.
Interesting programming note, the Citadel's game in Orangeburg against the Bulldogs of SC State. That's going to be a Sunday afternoon game. It tips at 2 o'clock there in Orangeburg County. And then they follow that game with a trip back on the road to Asheville, the site of the SoCon tournament. I don't know if UNC Asheville plays their games at the same arena there, the Cherokee Casino Arena, but Wednesday, December 1st is when they take on UNC Asheville there in Western North Carolina. Wish Bulldog basketball all the best. Speaking of road trips, Jeff Hartzell, the Citadel football team, closed up its 2021 schedule with a road trip to Chattanooga, a road trip that most thought would not be that close of a game. The Citadel didn't have a whole lot to play for. Chattanooga had a whole lot to play for. There was an outside chance they could have made it to the FCS playoffs. But in the end, it was a tremendous victory for the Citadel football team. They hung in there together. They did not quit, and they end up the season with 2 consecutive victories.
How about that? Victories over rivals VMI and Wofford this year, and then an upset victory at a playoff contender, Chattanooga, to finish out the season. So the Dogs go 4-7 overall, 3-5 in the SoCon, and really an outstanding performance at Chattanooga. As you mentioned, Dogs had little to play for, but pride and maybe a little bit of revenge against Chattanooga. I think the last 3 games against the Mocs have been decided by 1 point each. So great performance from Jalen Adams, the quarterback. He continues to grow in his role as a starting quarterback. And then one of the two really good stories of the game, Summy Carley, who transferred from South Carolina last year as an offensive lineman, had been moved to tight end. Of course, the Citadel does not use the tight end much at all, only for blocking purposes. But they called a goal line pass to Summy Carley there in the first half, and he caught it for a 9-yard touchdown. What a way for Summy to end his college football career. And then you had the story of Sam Llewellyn. He's been playing A-back or slot back most of the year. Well, Nathan Storch went into the transfer portal last week, one of the Citadel's backup fullbacks. So Sam went to Coach Thompson, volunteered his services at fullback, and ends up running for a 57-yard touchdown for the go-ahead points in the second half there at Chattanooga. So great story for Sam. This defense shuts out the Mocs in the second half. I think Chattanooga had 3 yards in the third quarter and 88 in the second half. So really a great performance by the Citadel defense. Destin Mack did interception late in the game to help clinch it. So the Citadel goes into an off-season on a 2-game win streak and hoping to get back to a normal schedule now after what they've been through the last year and a half, 19 games in a 9-month period.
Yeah, it's been a whole lot for the Dogs to have to go through, and hopefully they'll, as you said, get this nice break that they're going to enjoy for a few months and come back well rested and have a traditional year. It's been 2 years since Citadel football has kind of gone through a what you would call a traditional type 12-month calendar, and you could tell. I mean, what was that count again? How many games and how many months?
19 games in 9 months, and over the past two, and that's a period where they would normally have a spring practice and 11 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had 8 games in the spring, 11 more this fall, so 19 games in about 9 months. And over the last 2 seasons, the Citadel has played the most games of any SoCon team. It came out to 23 games over the last 2 seasons. Of course, some teams opted out of last fall. Some teams cut their spring season short, so they did not play the same amount of games in that period. Some SoCon teams only played 15 games in that period. The Citadel played 23. So that makes a difference, obviously, over the course of time. And the important thing is that they get back into the weight room in January, go through a spring practice where you're working on fundamentals instead of trying to get ready to play a game, right? Like they were in the spring. And those playing games is always valuable experience, but there's also value in spending the right amount of time in the weight room and the right amount of time working on fundamentals and developing your younger players. So that's something that a lot of teams or a lot of FCS teams have had to deal with over the past couple of years. The Citadel, as we've said many times before, is in a little bit different position because they cannot depend on a bunch of transfers to come in and bolster their roster. So they really have to work hard on developing the young players that they have. And I think Coach Thompson and this Donnell Boucher, the strength coach, and those guys are really eager to get back on a normal schedule and work on building these guys up in their strength and speed.
You mentioned how it's been so many games, 19 games, 9 months, and there have been players as a fan I've been anxious to see get back in there. And to my knowledge, I'm going to throw a name out there that was such a workhorse in the backfield for a while before he was injured, and that was Clay Harris. Did Clay Harris ever get back on the gridiron?
He did not this season. His ankle injuries were just too much to overcome, and I think his career is over. I can't say that definitively. I haven't had a chance to talk to Coach Thompson about that, but I don't expect to see him back in a Citadel uniform. And you're right, they missed him badly over the course of the season.
And he got hurt when? Do you remember?
He got hurt in the spring and just never really made it back, as I recall.
I was thinking it might have even been the fall of last year because it's been so confusing, to be quite honest with you, Jeff, of all the way these games have played out. But he wasn't the only one that you just didn't see a lot of due to injury. And maybe with hopefully they usually get going around Valentine's Day with their spring drills. So you've got, about 3 months. Maybe they can take it somewhat easier than normal and get back to 100% perhaps on the roster when they get ready for the start of the 2022 season. Anything else football notes-wise we can get from you, Jeff?
The signing date coming up December 15th, the early signing date. I expect them to sign 6 to 8 players, and then they'll have another signing day in February when I expect them to sign 3 or 4 more, and maybe a couple of grad transfers will be included in that.
Okay, so what was that breakdown of what you expect in December compared to February?
6 to 8 in December and 3 or 4 more in February, and those are scholarship players. Obviously, they'll add some walk-ons as well.
Okay, and we know that Jalen Adams should be back. And do you expect Hampton to also stay in that backup role going into 2022?
I'm not sure if Derek will be back. I believe he was honored on Senior Day. I
can't
remember exactly. But Ahmad Green and Varney
we know.
I'm sorry, Varney.
Yeah, that's all right. It's early.
they should be back as well in the quarterback room.
Jeff,
where
does the Citadel stand with the punter and kicker position?
That's a good question. Matt Campbell will be moving on, I believe. It's hard to keep track of these COVID eligibilities. And Matt finished the year strong after he had some struggles. Obviously, he's a great punter, All-America level punter. Had some struggles after he had a punt blocked in the Furman game, but really came on strong, I thought, in the last couple of games. Had a big 79-yard punt against Chattanooga. So I think he will get a shot at the NFL or at pro ball at some level if he wants to. But that's a good question. They're going to have to replace Matt Campbell going forward.
And I was at the game, so I didn't have a chance to really let it all soak in. But did he not break, Matt Campbell, that is, the punting record at ETSU this year?
He did that. How long was it? 84?
I don't know. I didn't even really think it was that big a deal at the time, but somebody pointed out later that, man, that was the longest punt in Citadel history. And you know who held that record prior to Matt Campbell, right?
Paul McGuire.
And Paul McGuire did.
I think he had an 83-yarder against West Virginia
back
in the day.
Mm-hmm. How about that?
Yeah, for sure. Matt Campbell, one of the best punters, obviously, in Citadel history.
Okay, so personnel, we've kind of broke that down. Recruiting is hot and heavy. By the way, I never told you what the answer to the trivia question was from last week, since we were talking some recruiting information on last week's Citadel Gray Line. The trivia question was, could you please name who the recruiting coordinator at the Citadel is? And as we have that other big in-state rivalry game going down this weekend at Williams-Brice Stadium, in the spirit of that, the trivia question answer from last week of who the recruiting coordinator for Bulldog Athletics for the football team is, it has a connection to the Gamecocks versus Clemson rivalry. Jeff, tell me.
I believe it's Turner West. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. And what's that connection to that other game this weekend?
He is the son of former Clemson coach Tommy West.
That is correct. So how about that? Turner West, recruiting coordinator at the Citadel. And, boy, it seems like a million years ago when Tommy West was coaching Clemson to 6-5 and 7-4 seasons.
Those were the glory days, huh?
Yeah, and Clemson kept him around a long time. Then they brought in another guy named Tommy Bowden.
And then after Tommy came Dabo, and the rest is history. I'm actually looking forward to the game. I think it might be competitive this year, and that's all we want is a competitive USC Clemson game.
Yes, this would be if Clemson wins. Is it the 7th straight if they pull it off this weekend?
I think that is correct.
Yes, that followed Carolina having roughly 5 or 6 in a row back in the Spurrier era. But that's that other rivalry game in South Carolina that goes on. We think that the Furman-Citadel game is pretty important too, and some would even say Citadel-Wofford might even be a pretty big deal. Okay, Jeff, we are coming quickly to the end of our Citadel Gray Line for this year. We've got Thanksgiving week, and you and I have been doing this a long time, so I want to thank you for all the many years. And our longtime co-host has sent in a Thanksgiving greeting. We asked him to be on today, but he couldn't make it. He had a doctor's appointment. That would be from the class of 1960, Jim Waddell, who was on probably 12 years with us on Citadel Gray Line. So Jim Waddell could not make it today to be on this fun little swan song for 2021, but he does say that he hopes that he conveys his best wishes and a happy Thanksgiving for me, you, and everybody else, and to Bulldog Nation. So, Jim, thank you for the kind greetings. And he said he had to go into his doctor's office today, and at the age of 83, he had to try to break the all-time record of 83 squat jumps, whatever the heck that is. So wishing him well. Jeff, you got big holiday plans?
I do. Going to see the folks in Clemson and visit with my parents and my brother and his wife. And, for all of us, it's been a rough couple of years. I've had to limit family gatherings, but looking forward to being back with the folks again.
And like you, I'm also headed to the home front, and hopefully we'll have a good couple of days. And who knows, you might see me rooting on the Bulldogs Sunday afternoon in Orangeburg. Not often do I get a chance to see a road trip for Bulldog basketball, but why not? Why not? So anyway, hopefully everybody out there has a wonderful holiday. We'll be back with you starting with the first week of the 2022 season. And, Jeff, I haven't even turned the calendar over yet. Do you know who that first opponent of the 2022 season football is?
I don't off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
We better pull this up because we're not we just can't be let out of here. We can't go on furlough until we pull this up. But I do know, I think the big money opponent next year, is it Georgia Southern?
Georgia Southern. The non-conference schedule should be Charleston Southern, Georgia Southern, and Virginia Lynchburg.
Okay.
Of all schools.
I don't see it listed on the Bulldog website, so we better not officially say it because it might change. So we'll just play it safe here and tell y'all to stay tuned to citadelsports.com for more. Jeff, thank you so much. Have a great Thanksgiving, a great rest of your 2021, and we'll see you back here next year.
Thank you, John, and have a great Thanksgiving.
All right. Jeff Hartzell, Charleston Post and Courier, Jeff _ from the PC is how you can find him. Thank y'all for listening. Again, if you would like to be part of our Citadel Gray Line, we welcome all partners. Our text and phone number for that is 843-779-8496. Thank you again. Good luck to all the Bulldog football, basketball, volleyball, sports that are going on. And thank you again for tuning in each and every week on YouTube and on Facebook and all the other ways that you catch this All Bulldog Show. It's been an honor and a privilege. Thank you, and on behalf of everybody here at Citadel Gray Line, fall out.